If you have been following this series, there's a good chance you're carrying two things at once. On one hand, you understand more than you did before. You understand labels, regulation, biology, why dogs aren't small humans. But on the other hand, you feel a little tense, like you are constantly scanning for risk, wondering if you're missing something, or worrying that one mistake could undo everything. So let me say this clearly right from the start. This video is not about eliminating risk, and it's definitely not about doing everything perfectly. It's about feeding raw safely without turning feeding into a source of anxiety. Because safety is not built through paranoia, it's built through systems. And having the right system in place will make you more confident on your journey. One of the biggest misconceptions I see both in practice and online is that safe feeding means zero risk. The idea doesn't exist in biology, and it doesn't exist in human food either. We don't make food safer by panicking about bacteria. We make food safer by designing systems that assume bacteria exists. That's true for humans and it's true for dogs. So instead of asking, is raw dangerous? The better question is, what systems reduce risk in a predictable, repeatable way? Once you understand that, a lot of the fear disappears. Here's something that might surprise you. Most feeding mistakes don't come from people being careless. They come from people being overwhelmed. When people are anxious, they switch foods too fast, over sanitize and cross contaminate, overreact to normal variation, or abandon a system before it has time to work. Paranoia creates instability, and instability is the opposite of safety. Calm systems are safer than frantic ones. Let's ground this in something practical. Safe raw feeding doesn't require dozens of rules. It rests on four pillars. Pillar one, source matters more than perfection. You don't need exotic meats. You don't need rare suppliers. You need clearly identified proteins, consistent sourcing, transparent handling, a boring, reliable protein handled the same way every time is safer. The consistency reduces error. Raw dog food does not require extreme measures. The same rules you use for your own kitchen apply. Clean surfaces, hand washing, cold storage, reasonable thawing practices. Dogs are not eating off your cutting board and you're not licking the bowl. Over sterilization often creates more mistakes than it prevents. Pillar 3. Portion accuracy prevents digestive stress. A lot of what people interpret as bacterial issues are actually digestive overload issues. Overfeeding raw slows digestion, increases fermentation, creates loose stools. Feeding appropriate amounts improves transit time, supports gastric acidity, reduces bacterial survival. This is why math matters. Not obsession, just accuracy. Stability first, variety later. This connects directly to our earlier videos. Rotation is normal, but stability comes first. When people rotate too quickly, the gut does not adapt. The microbiome destabilizes. Symptoms get blamed on raw. Safe feeding starts with one protein, one system, one routine. Then diversity gets layered in after stability. What you don't need to do this. Let me remove some pressure here. You do not need gloves every time you feed, disinfectant wipes everywhere, constant testing, daily stress about contamination. You do not need to boil meat, wash raw food, or sterilize bowls like surgical instruments. Those behaviors are driven by fear, not biology. Dogs evolved with robust digestive defenses because exposure was normal, not rare. Here's what safe raw feeding usually looks like in real life. Your dog has steady energy, stools are formed and predictable, minor fluctuations happen and resolve. Feeding feels routine, not stressful. Safety doesn't feel dramatic, it feels boring. And boring is good if feeding feels calm and repeatable and manageable. You're doing it right. I want to leave you with this. You don't need to be fearless. You don't need to be perfect. And you definitely don't need to be paranoid. Safe raw feeding is not about controlling every variable. It's about building systems that work with biology, not against it. When you replace fear with structure, confidence follows naturally. In the next video, we'll get even more practical, looking at how to evaluate raw options without overthinking safety, price, or labels. I'm Dr. Ghunaim. Thank you for choosing calm over panic and understanding over fear. one step at a time. And if you want to learn about transitioning safely to raw, I have put together a step-by-step guide that will take you through your journey from not knowing where to start to feeding raw in a sensible and biologically appropriate manner.